$600. $600. That's what I paid for this box sitting right here in front of me. And according to everything I've read online, according to every forum, every Reddit thread, every YouTube comment section I've scoured through at 3 in the morning when I couldn't sleep because I kept second-guessing this decision. I either just made the best financial decision of my entire life, or the most expensive mistake I'm going to regret for the next 6 months. Maybe longer. What you're about to see over the next 15 minutes is the unboxing nobody shows you. The setup process they don't talk about in the promotional videos. The problems that don't exist in the pristine, perfectly lit marketing materials where everything works flawlessly the first time. And what I discovered during the activation process. That moment when everything should have worked but didn't? Stay until the end of this video. Because nobody warned me about this. Not Starlink. Not the YouTubers with their sponsored content. Not even the honest reviewers who supposedly tell you everything. This is episode 2 of my complete Starlink experience. No sponsorship. No affiliate links. No reason to lie to you. Just the raw, unfiltered truth about what happens when you actually try to set this thing up in the real world, in a real city, with real problems that real people face. If you missed episode 1 where I explained exactly why I'm doing this, why I'm spending this kind of money, and what my current internet situation looks like, go watch that first. It'll give you context for everything that happens next. But if you're already caught up, if you're here because you want to know what's actually inside this box and whether setup is as easy as they claim, let's get into it. Here we are. This is the moment of truth. This box traveled from a warehouse somewhere in the United States, across the Atlantic Ocean, through customs in Lagos, through the chaotic Nigerian delivery system, and somehow arrived at my doorstep intact. The box itself is impressive, I'll give them that. This isn't your standard Amazon cardboard that tears if you look at it wrong. This is industrial-grade packaging. Thick cardboard. Reinforced corners. The kind of box that says expensive equipment inside, handle with care. And it's heavy. Really heavy. I'm talking 30 pounds, maybe more. Before I even open this, I can tell there's substantial hardware in here. This isn't some lightweight plastic consumer gadget. This is serious equipment. Let me just get this tape off here. And already I'm noticing something. The way this is packaged, the way everything is sealed. Starlink clearly doesn't want this damaged in transit. There are multiple layers of tape. Security seals. This has been packaged by people who understand that once this box leaves the warehouse, it's going through hell to get to its destination. Okay. Here we go. Opening it up now. And the first thing I see is foam. Lots of foam. Dense, protective foam padding that's clearly custom cut for these specific components. This isn't generic packing material. This is precision packaging. And there it is. The Starlink dish itself. Generation 2. The thing that's supposed to connect to satellites orbiting 17,000 miles above the Earth and beam internet directly to my location. First impressions. This is surprisingly light. I was expecting something heavier, more substantial. But this is maybe 5-6 pounds at most. It's made of white plastic with a matte finish. No glossy surfaces that would scratch easily. The build quality feels solid though. There's no flex to it, no cheap creaking when you apply pressure. This feels like it was engineered to last. Size-wise, we're looking at roughly 20 inches by 12 inches. Rectangular, not circular like the older Starlink dishes you might have seen. And it's about 1.5 inches thick at its thickest point. Thinner at the edges. The shape is sleek, modern, almost Apple-like in its minimalist design philosophy. The surface is completely flat. No visible individual antenna elements, no protruding parts. It's all hidden underneath this white surface. Somewhere under here are hundreds of tiny phased array antennas that will electronically steer the beam to track satellites as they move across the sky. But from the outside? It just looks like a flat white rectangle. Flip it over, and here's where things get interesting. On the back, you can see the mounting bracket attachment point. And down here, at the bottom edge, this is the cable. Now, this is important. This is the first thing Starlink doesn't make immediately obvious in their marketing materials. This cable is permanently attached to the dish. You see this connection point? It's not a standard connector you can unplug. It's sealed, weatherproofed, and completely permanent. I can't disconnect this. I can't remove it. Which means if this cable gets damaged, and we're talking about 75 feet of cable that has to run from wherever you mount this dish all the way to your router inside your home, if this cable gets cut, gets crushed, gets chewed through by rodents, gets damaged in any way, you can't just buy a replacement cable for $20. You're replacing the entire dish. And let me show you how much cable this is. 75 feet sounds reasonable in theory. In practice, when you're actually holding it, when you're actually trying to route it through your home or up to your roof, this is a lot of cable. And it's thick. This isn't thin Ethernet cable. This is heavy-duty cable with thick insulation and weatherproofing. It's probably ½ an inch in diameter, maybe more. And it's stiff. You can't make tight bends with this. You can't fold it back on itself. Which means routing this through tight spaces, through small openings, through the kinds of places you typically run cables in a home, that's going to be challenging. We'll get to that struggle later. Let me put the dish down and see what else we've got in here. Next item, the router. The Starlink router. And this is actually really nice looking. I wasn't expecting this. This is a clean, minimalist, rectangular white box. No external antennas sticking out. No blinking LED lights on the front. No ugly status indicators. Just a simple white rectangle that honestly looks more like a piece of modern art than a piece of networking equipment. Build quality here is excellent too. Solid construction. Smooth edges. There's a subtle curve to the top surface. Weight-wise, it's light but doesn't feel cheap. And on the bottom, I can see there are rubber feet to keep it from sliding around on whatever surface you place it on. Looking at the ports on the back, we've got the power input, and we've got what looks like a single Ethernet port. Just one. That's interesting. Most routers have multiple Ethernet ports for wired connections. Starlink has clearly designed this with the assumption that you're going to use Wi-Fi for everything. If you need multiple wired connections, you're going to need to buy your own switch. Next up, the power supply. And oh boy, this thing is chunky. This is not a small power brick. This is a serious power supply. Look at the size of this thing. It's got to be at least 6 inches long, 3 inches wide, and it's heavy. Really heavy. There's some serious electrical components in here. And that makes sense when you think about what it's powering. That dish out there has to power all those antennas, has to power motors that move and adjust the dish, has to power heating elements that melt snow in cold climates. This isn't a low-power device. Looking at the specs on the label here, this power supply is rated for up to 100 watts output. For context, your typical home router uses maybe 10, 15 watts. This is pulling serious power. Which is something to keep in mind if you live somewhere with expensive electricity or unreliable power. And here we have the base. The mounting solution that comes with the Starlink kit. This is, well, it's basically a tripod. 3 legs that fold out and a mounting pole in the center where the dish attaches. So you unfold these legs like this, and you've got a stable base that the dish sits on. In theory, the legs lock into place with these clips here. The dish mounts on this pole in the center. And the whole thing is designed to just sit on the ground, on your roof, on whatever flat surface you have available. Here's my first concern. This base is held in place by nothing. It's just sitting here. There are no holes for bolts. No way to anchor it to the ground. No tie-down points. This is entirely relying on its own weight to stay in place. And while it's reasonably stable on this flat table in my climate-controlled room with no wind, I'm already thinking about what happens when this is on my roof in the sun with wind blowing. I was really hoping to find mounting holes on the bottom of these feet. Something I could use to bolt this down. But no. Nothing. This is a temporary setup solution. If you want a permanent, secure installation, you're going to need to buy additional mounting hardware from Starlink or from a third party. And that's going to cost more money on top of the $600 you've already spent. Alright, let me lay everything out so you can see the complete package. We've got the dish, the router, the power supply, the base, the 75-foot cable that's permanently attached to the dish. And let me check the box again. A quick start guide. That's it. That's everything that comes in the box. Let me look at this guide real quick. Page 1, unpack everything. Page 2, download the app. Page 3, set up the dish outside with a clear view of the sky. Page 4, plug everything in and wait for connection. That's the whole guide. For pages. Starlink is really banking on this being intuitive. There is one important note here though. It says in bold, place Starlink in a location with a clear view of the sky. Even small obstructions can impact service quality. We're going to come back to this because clear view of the sky means something very specific, and it's not as easy as it sounds. So that's what you get for $600. The dish, the router, the power supply, the basic tripod base, cable you can't replace, and a guide that assumes everything will work perfectly. But let's talk about this cable situation for another moment because I need you to understand how significant this is. In most tech products, cables are consumable items. They wear out, they break, you replace them cheaply. With Starlink, this cable is part of the dish assembly. If this cable fails, you're not ordering a $30 replacement cable from Amazon. You're contacting Starlink support, explaining the problem, waiting for them to process a warranty claim or out-of-warranty replacement, and you're potentially paying $300 to $500 for a new dish. The cable is about 0.4 inches in diameter. That's thick. And I understand why. This cable is carrying power to the dish, remember, up to 100 watts, and it's carrying data. It's also got to be weatherproof, UV-resistant, and durable enough to survive being routed across roofs, through walls, exposed to sun and rain and temperature extremes. So yes, it needs to be heavy-duty. But that comes with trade-offs in terms of flexibility and ease of installation. And look at this connector on the router end. This is a proprietary Starlink connector. It's not Ethernet. It's not any standard cable type. This only works with Starlink equipment. Which means you can't easily extend this cable if you need more length. You can't cut it and put your own connectors on. You're locked into Starlink's ecosystem completely. I want to make absolutely sure I didn't miss anything in the packaging here. Let me check all the foam layers. Nope. That's everything. No extra mounting hardware. No cable clips for routing. No weatherproofing accessories. No grounding equipment. Nothing. What you see here is what you get. According to this setup diagram, the installation process looks simple. Step 1. Place dish outside. Step 2. Run cable to router inside. Step 3. Plug in power. Step 4. Wait for connection. For easy steps. Probably takes 15-20 minutes total. Right? Let's find out in the next video. Subscribe to this channel for more update.